In this video, I wanted to talk a little bit about Donald Trump's tariffs and what it means for investing in Asia. We know that Trump is backing a protectionist kind of America first trade policy. He wants to bring manufacturing back to the US. The US used to be very strong in manufacturing, but like a lot of first world countries, the manufacturing base has been hollowed out and a lot of that has gone offshore to countries where it is cheaper to produce things. He wants to bring a lot of that back to America. And he has singled out Canada, Mexico, and of course China. We don't know how much of what he is saying is just rhetoric, how much is just to be used as sort of like an opening bid in a trade negotiation. There's probably a little bit of that going on, I'm sure there is. But we also know from his first term with the China trade wars, as they called it, that he is prepared to act. So whatever eventuates, it is an interesting space to keep an eye on, and in particular if you have investments that are influenced by what goes on in Asia, or if you are interested in investing in certain parts of Asia, it's good to be on top of this thing and have a bit of an idea of where things lie. So what effects will Trump's tariffs have on China? So very quickly, basically what a tariff is, it's a tax on an import. So what it will do, it'll make China's imports more expensive to import, or China's exports rather, more expensive to import into the US. And this will, as the price of Chinese imports goes up in the US, it will make US manufacturing goods more attractive to US consumers. So people will be buying less Chinese products, demand will go down in China, and overall activity could go down in China as far as manufacturing goes. There'll be less money going into China, less people employed in the sector, and so on. So yeah, it will have some impact if tariffs are increased, but let's remember that Trump already increased tariffs on China back in, I don't know, was it 2018, somewhere around there? And Biden actually left these tariffs in place. So this is nothing really new. Tariffs have been on China for some time now, but Trump is now talking about increasing these tariffs further. So yeah, you might have a slowdown, but I don't think, in my non-economist opinion, that it will have a huge impact compared to what is already happening. China already does have some problems. They have a lot of debt. They have a struggling housing sector. The economy overall is not doing so great, but it is still a massive country with a massive population. It's a powerhouse. It's not going anywhere. It might slow down, yeah, but it is not going away. It's already the largest economy in the world in purchasing power parity terms. And in nominal GDP, it is the second largest economy. So here you've got the two largest economies in the world negotiating trade agreements. They're going to both want to coexist. They both want to be able to grow and have a reasonable economy for their own people. The leaders will understand this. Everyone wants to coexist and everyone wants to make money, but not at the expense of their own country. So my thinking is that they'll find a way to make this work. Both sides will do that. And regardless of what happens, when a policy is put in place for whatever it is, people and businesses are always going to find a way to move around that or just do things in a different way so that they can get the best outcome for themselves. And that's already happening in China. And for some time, China has been trying to move towards more of a consumption-based economy like the US, as well as transitioning their manufacturing away from a low-value manufacturing type economy to more of a high-tech manufacturing economy. So if they can successfully pull this off, it's not something that happens overnight, but if the country can move in that direction, then these kinds of tariffs may have a lesser impact on China, particularly if it transitions towards a consumption-based economy. So as far as the economic impact goes, whatever that may be, there will be some adjustments made. What countries stand to benefit from this if exports out of China do become too expensive because of the tariffs? It's worth noting here that there already was a bit of a movement of businesses in the US and other countries diversifying operations and suppliers, supply chains and so forth outside of China. I've spoken about this in other videos about the so-called China Plus One strategy. This trend has already been in play for some time. So you're going to end up having more direct investment in other countries where it is cheap to manufacture, where labor is not too expensive, where they have the skills required and the capabilities to manufacture for products that are in demand in other countries. As far as Asia goes, this means places like Vietnam, the Philippines, Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand, they've got a strong auto parts manufacturing base there. They could do well out of it. But the country out of that bunch that I would probably pick to do the best out of this would be Vietnam. It shares a border with China. It is much cheaper to produce things there. The labor cost is much lower. And they are already gearing up to take advantage of higher demand out of the US and Europe. But just because operations and manufacturing and so forth might be moving outside of China to neighboring countries, it does not mean that China will still not be benefiting. What you might have is Chinese companies setting up subsidiaries in places like Vietnam or Indonesia or wherever it may be, and using that subsidiary in another country to get around these tariffs. Or they could just find a way to reroute their supply chain through another country in order to not attract a tariff. Like I said earlier in the video, whenever there is a change in policy, businesses and people that are affected by this will always try and find a way to be not affected by this. And that means doing things in a different way so that they can carry on whatever it may be, keeping the money rolling in and so on. So one way or another, you're not going to keep China down. They're too big, you can't ignore them. They're not going anywhere, tariff or no tariff. Now, if you're interested in investing in Asia, if you want to get a brokerage account that can directly access countries like China, but also these other countries that may benefit from the tariffs, Vietnam, Indonesia, Cambodia, Thailand. If you're interested in investing in countries like this, setting up a brokerage to buy companies that are listed on these various stock exchanges, we can help you to get this set up. It's not that easy to achieve. There is a bit of a process to it, but it can be done. If you're interested in that, head over to offshoreinasia.com, drop us a contact form, tell us what you want, what you're trying to achieve, and we can have a chat from there.